well above the state's current minimum of $15.50 an hour. CNBC's Kate Rogers live in San Francisco. This would be a big win for fast food workers, looks like.
That's right, Chap. Advocates say the bill's passing is a major win for workers that will improve the industry's conditions in a meaningful and sweeping manner if signed into law. It comes at a time when organized labor has been successful across the food sector, from Starbucks to Chipotle and Trader Joe's. Fast food chains are notoriously difficult to organize due to high turnover and franchisee ownership.
Now, according to officials in San Antonio, Texas, there will be considered a proposal to use $50 million of revenue from the city-owned utility to provide rebates to customers. Energy bills have soared for people in Texas in recent months, as record-breaking heat forced them to use more electric. As a result, the city's revenue from CPS Energy is expected to be $75 million higher than expected. The city manager, Eric Walsh, said the city collects 13% of revenue that the utility brings in. The credit will be based on the customer's July bill, with the proposal suggesting the credit reduced from the future bill should be around 13% of what was paid in July. Walsh said the average bill for residential customers rose to $230 in July, meaning they could expect a rebate of about $31. Walsh also told reporters, "This is not going to wipe away anybody's outstanding balances. It's not going to pay anybody's complete utility bill. It is the city as the owner of CPS, recognizing the extraordinary position that everyone finds themselves in and doing our part." Now, Illinois representatives have also co-sponsored a bill to give Americans with monthly rebate checks, help them defray the escalating cost of gas, with a windfall profit tax being levied against oil companies. According to the Stop Gas Price Gouging Tax and Rebate Act, introduced by Peter DeFazio, single Americans making less than $75,000 annually, or those filing jointly, will be eligible for the monthly advance and refundable rebate checks. Representative Underwood said in a statement, "Every day I hear from my constituents about how rising prices are impacting their quality of life. They deserve relief, which is why I helped introduce the legislation to put money into the pockets of families, to help them afford groceries and energy costs, while also holding greedy oil companies and gas companies accountable." Biden has already confirmed that he is considering a tax holiday. In an interview on ABC News, the Treasury Secretary expressed an openness to a federal gas tax to give motorists some relief.
And power lines, and provide hundreds of other services that can't be done in the comfort of an air-conditioned building. These workers need and deserve protection from the impacts of dangerous heat. That's why we're out here today. We all know that climate change is making heat waves hotter and more common. The past 8 years have been the hottest since global record keeping began. And heat wave season has been getting longer, stretching into early spring and late fall. Scientists expect these longer and hotter heat waves to continue. And our window of opportunity to avoid the worst impacts of the climate crisis is quickly closing. That's why NRDC and our elected leaders are working tirelessly to advance climate action, from city halls and state legislatures to Washington, D.C. and around the world.
Director of Education Trust New York, thank you for your leadership and your vision and your hard work. It's wonderful for Kathy and I to have partners like you who are on the ground actually implementing the programs that we're trying to pass into law, so thank you for that. I want to thank all the other advocates who are in the room. I appreciate all the work you do every day to help our families thrive. I want to thank the YMCA for the amazing programs and childcare that you offer here, which is wonderful, and you are one of the groups that will be eligible to apply for this money, so it's very important that we're doing here.
Now, there are several income tax breaks that will help millions of low-income households this year, as inflation continues to impact the U.S. The Biden administration has confirmed that there are some steps that are taken next to address inflation. The deadline for Maryland residents to claim the student loan debt relief tax credit worth of $1,000 fast approaching. You have until the middle of the month to apply for the credit, which is aimed at easing the financial toll of going to college. To qualify, applicants must have filed their 2022 Maryland state income taxes and have amassed a student loan for at least $20,000, while maintaining $5,000 or more in unpaid debt. However, students are not required to have graduated to receive the credit, and people who went to an out-of-state college or university may receive a smaller credit than those who attended an in-state institution. The National Economic Council Deputy Director offered further insight into what the application process will look like. He said the application will become available for federal borrowers in early October, and borrowers can expect to see relief 4 to 6 weeks after they submit their applications. He told reporters students are advised to apply by roughly November 15th in order to receive relief. and now tens of millions of Americans are eligible for student loan forgiveness, but you might have to pay state taxes. According to the Tax Foundation, Massachusetts is one of the 13 states in the country where you may have to pay taxes on the loans that were forgiven, but Governor Baker said it's not set in stone. The reason why you might be taxed by the state on this is that when you have debt forgiven, it can count as income. The American Rescue Plan Act does have a provision that includes student loan forgiveness between 2021 and 2025. It does not count as federal taxable income, and Massachusetts is listed as one of 13 states with the ability to tax it. Consumers who have been squeezed by higher prices may be experiencing a little relief. According to a new report, fewer adults now say they are living paycheck to paycheck as of July. 59% of Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck, and lower income workers have been hit the hardest by price hikes this year. The report found that even though top earners have also been struggling to make ends meet, wealthier Americans feel less financially strained. Of those earning $200,000 or more, roughly 30% reported living paycheck to paycheck, down from the 36% of the previous month.
The bottom line is our children are our nation's future. And when we invest in them, we invest in our country, in our values, and in the strength of our future together. While we certainly can't control how our children choose to lead their lives, we can certainly nourish them, we can educate them, we can guide them towards a path to success, to launch them into the world. I'm still one of the few moms in the Senate with school-age children, but I'm constantly reminded how vastly important it is to make sure our nation's children are cared for and given the advantages that they need to live a successful and healthy life. As the governor said, about 22% of Americans are under the age of 18, and about 1/4 of those kids are under the age of 5. So we have a huge child care need in this country, and many of them do not have the support that they need to be able to succeed. And with COVID, also as the governor said, things became exponentially harder and much more strain on our state. Before the pandemic, there was one slot for every four kids that were looking for child care slots. Post-pandemic was one slot for every 8 kids. So you can see how significant the need is around our state. The reason why I worked so hard on these funds in the American Rescue Plan and the CARES Act is because I knew our governor would spend the money to actually improve care and to expand care, and that's exactly what today's announcement's about. These funds make 2 crucial initiatives possible. One, a second round of child care stabilization grants for providers. This is direct money to the providers so they can stay in business, so they can offer more